Oh, the left. The left. The left. The left. Daily Mail reports police confirm gang made up of an 11-year-old boy, as well as teens aged 13, 14, and 18, brutally beat and robbed Asian woman, 70, in San Francisco. The Young Turks recently came out talking about a man who was going around beating people in the street, and they're shocked this guy is not in jail. He is a violent offender, a violent repeat offender, and he's going to get someone killed. For this, the left has turned on the Young Turks, not like every single one of their fans. Of course, most of their fans agree with what they said, but they are getting berated. Notably, Anna Kasparian of the Young Turks is getting slammed on Twitter and heavily criticized for being right. You know what I don't like? I don't like that Anna Kasparian comes out and is 100% correct on the issue of jailing criminals. And what happens is the left insults her for being wrong, and the right insults her saying things like, well, this is what you wanted. Clearly, it's not what Anna Kasparian wants or Cenk Uygur because they're criticizing it, calling it out, and that's what we need. Now, I can talk about a lot of their ideas I think are wrong, and I do think there's an interesting, maybe red pilling type moment for them in this. But I will say, first and foremost, I don't watch their show. And that's the important point to be made here. This is a high profile incident. And I'm sure in the past they've said similar things. But you'll end up with a bunch of people on the right being like, Anna's saying this now, but what about? Well, I don't know what about. All I know is this. Anna said something correct. Thank you, Anna. That's awesome. That's it. We disagree on so much. That's fine. I think we find out where we agree on and we talk about what can we do to solve these problems. Now, the issue, I suppose, is outside of these obvious issues like, hey, if a dude's going around beating people in the street, maybe we need some, like criminal justice reform. We should stop this. Aside from things like that, we fundamentally disagree. And I think it's all really easily exemplified with a simple point. Let me see if where do I have this? I think I have it over here. Here we go. While Anna Kasparian is getting roasted, and she's tweeting about it, I just want to make sure you understand something very, very beginning, at the very beginning of the segment. I follow Anna Kasparian. I follow her tweets. I see what she is talking about. I don't watch her show, but that's because I don't watch anyone's show. I do a show, but I do follow her. I do follow Cenk. I follow tons of leftists. I follow Vosh and others. I want to know what they think about things. Anna does not follow me. I think Cenk Uygur might follow me. I'm not sure, but this is the issue. I follow them. I know what they're saying. Not every word of every show they do, but when they tweet. So that's obviously how I know about what's going on with her criminal justice tweets. She didn't follow me. So, of course, what ends up happening is Anna Kasparian misrepresents my positions, and she has on more than one occasion. And it's unfortunate. It really is. I see this story. A gang of young boys brutally beat and rob an Asian woman. There's a viral tweet going around. There's a couple of these tweets, and they're like, Elon Musk flew on a private jet for 9 minutes from, San Francisco to San Jose, excuse me. And the left is like, I can't believe it. One guy's like, I literally have no words. I have a couple words. Crime in San Francisco is insane right now. People are being beaten. Walgreens are closing down. Shoplifting is through the roof. There is a problem. There's human feces in the street. And you're surprised one of the most notable, famous, infamous individuals on the planet doesn't want to drive in a car or take public transit? Dude is flying because it's the safest thing for him to do. Not to mention the obvious. Look, I'm not a big fan of the ultra wealthy just splashing money around for no reason. But let's be real. Elon Musk's time is worth more than sitting in 5 hours of traffic trying to get to San Jose. The amount of time the dude has, look, it's just a reality of things. You can complain about climate change. You can complain about rich people wasting money and things like that. We did an event in New York. People wanted me to come and speak. I said, sorry, I can't do it. I've been invited to New York and other big cities to go and speak. And for a variety of reasons, I don't do it. They say, will you come out and speak at this event? I say, I can't. I work Monday. I work Monday through Friday, 16 hours. And Saturday and Sunday, I'm still very often working, having meetings, having plans for the week. You want me to spend 10 hours of this weekend in an airport? I'm sorry, dude, I just can't do it. And they say, okay, well, what if we got you a private flight? They cost like 10 grand, a 10 round trip. And then I'm like, Okay, if we can get the crew up there, guess what? That takes an hour. You cut it all the way down. I'm not a green, apocalyptic person like most of these people. I don't mind private planes. I don't want to waste a bunch of money. But if we're talking about trying to accomplish something and time is of the essence, I totally get it. But I don't want to harp on that. The reason I bring that up in this context is that Anna has seen something correct. She has seen an issue that is a problem, that people don't want to live this way. And to her credit, the left will not win political battles if they don't stop this. People are leaving cities. That is suppressing left-wing congressional voting power. And there is a fear that many of these people leaving California, for instance, might end up going to Texas and Austin. And they are. But guess what? Not enough of them. Most of the people who are going to leave first will be more conservative leaning. What this means is it will dilute the voting power of Democrats. I think Anna gets it. So she's out here trying to save the left from themselves. Unfortunately, she does have other videos I want to point out where she says, the right is just manipulating people's anger. She's wrong about that. And I'll talk about it and we'll break it down. Let me show you this tweet from Anna. Here's a video. You have this random guy punching this old Asian woman, seemingly knocking her unconscious. Anna got 3,534 retweets on this. She said, this is a man who was arrested 41 times. After this incident, he was released and went on to send a subway worker to the hospital with a broken collarbone. But according to this crime reporter, the man committing assaults and breaking bones is the real victim. Bravo, Anna. You are 100% correct. These lefties, these far leftists, they're calling Anna a fake leftist because she's calling this out. This is exactly the issue. If I come out and say something like, we need this to stop, that's right wing, even for Anna Kasparian. She's a right winger now, apparently, because she doesn't want people being beaten in the streets. Dude, somebody wrote an article. It's actually not that bad. Tana Ganeva. How much money does Anna Kasparian think homeless people make annually? In it, she points out that this guy, he gets held on like $5,000 bond or whatever. And he's not going to be able to pay it. Yeah. I agree with the left. Cash bail is BS. I don't think we should have cash bail. Sorry, I don't think so. Think about it this way. You're out there minding your own business, boop, 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 booping along. When all of a sudden, you, as a blue-collar worker, you get pulled over. And the cop says, your vehicle matches the description of a vehicle that was seen fleeing an incident. You're the prime suspect. Someone then comes out, runs over. That's him. That's the guy. I swear. All right, sir. You're under arrest. And you're like, dude, what? I didn't do anything. We got a witness saying it was you. We got people saying it was you. You're wearing the same clothes, driving the same car. Okay, here's what's supposed to happen. You get arrested. Maybe it's a wrongful identification. It happens. You go to a bond hearing and the judge determines if you're a flight risk. And they say, witnesses placed him at the scene of the crime. We think he's a danger. We don't want him to flee while, he's one, being tried for this or whatever. And the judge says, okay, are you a flight risk? You should have someone in your corner saying, Your Honor, he lives here. He works here. He's got kids here. His kids are in school. He ain't going anywhere and he didn't have a passport. The judge says, okay, you're innocent until proven guilty, free to go. You'll get your court date soon. And it sucks, but it happens. Here's what happens these days. You go in and the judge says, I don't care. I don't have time. $500. There you go. Your money will be the marker. Yo, I don't have $500. I can't post that bond. I do not believe the state should have the right to imprison you for any amount of time in lieu of cash. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you are guilty before they can detain you. And I know all these conservatives are saying, yeah, but what about these violent offenders? Oh, we're not talking about violent offenders. Admittedly, it is a problem if you are falsely accused of being a violent offender. But they're supposed to present to a judge probable cause evidence that you did something, not definitive proof, but something to be like, look, man, now in the instant you have a witness and they come out, you're supposed to get a hearing, not a rubber stamp. And I'll add one more. I don't want to see these violent criminals getting released. This guy's 41 people. Yo, Anna is right. This guy should be in jail. At the very least, when you have videos of a guy doing it. Like right here. Come on, how is he getting out? I'll tell you my response, though. I don't think Anna would agree, but my response is Smith & Wesson. I was talking to a guy, and he mentioned, his place he's got a security sign that says, "This security provided by Smith & Wesson." You get the point. Yeah, I like West Virginia. West Virginia. Someone comes out and they want to cause trouble. You have a right to defend yourself, and to the extent need be, lethal force if that's what you're confronted with. I want that. Now, I understand New York is densely populated, and that means there'll be a lot of accidents. So that is a challenge. We can figure something out. I don't know. But you got a right to keep and bear arms. And if somebody wants to come up and try and kill you, this guy is trying to, these punches, man, these are death blows. I've seen it. Stories, I should say. I know stories growing up about people dying from a single punch to the face. Seriously, it happens. There's often stories someone gets punched in the face, falls down, hits their head, and they die. But this guy will kill someone. I don't care if he's homeless. I don't care if he's mentally ill. You don't have to just let someone kill you. But so I agree here. And I want to this is the point I'm trying to make ultimately. Here's what I don't respect about the Young Turks. They've just insulted my appearance for no reason. They've published fake information and mocked me. And I don't know why. Because that's who they are, I guess. I'll give you an example. I did a segment on Timcast IRL in January. I mentioned that these people who walked into the Capitol, not fought their way in, the people who had the doors open, how are you going to charge them with trespassing if the cops are on camera opening the door saying, "Come on in"? Sure enough. We've had 2 trespassing acquittals. We've had two acquittals, 1 partial, 1 total. There's a lot of people who are going to be criminally charged. And like I said in that segment, they should be. My question is, did Anna not watch the clip where I said the people who are rioting should be convicted? And the people who were on the other side of the building were just walking around waving flags, and the cops opened the door and said, "Come on in," and took selfies? Yeah, okay. Yeah, how are you going to charge them? Well, they did a segment mocking me, saying I was dumb, I was stupid, but I turned out to be right. My request to the Young Turks is, dude, just watch what I say in full context. I looked into a whole bunch of Anna's tweets to see what she was talking about, so I would know, is she right? Well, there's some things she said I don't agree with. She talks about how Ron DeSantis is bad. She has a segment where she's like, we need to improve the lives of Republican conservative voters. We need to make their lives better. And I'm like, you are correct. And then she says, Ron DeSantis and Trump, they're all really, really awful. And I'm like, okay, that's an opinion. That's fine. I'm not going to call her stupid for not liking these people. I would ask they do the same thing. I've invited them on Timcast IRL several times, but I get it. They host their own shows. They're not going to come out here. They're in LA. Really difficult for me to do the same thing. Anna says, I don't think there's much to debate. A violent criminal who was charged with kidnapping and beating his partner was released from prison one day after he got a 180-day prison sentence and then proceeded to murder a cop during a botched robbery. It's incredible to me that people openly defend the violent criminals who literally murder people. That ain't reform. Hear, hear. It's not. It's amazing. It's amazing. Here's another one. Anna said, your disregard for victims of violent crimes disgusts me. If Kyle Rittenhouse randomly sucker punched an older woman in the streets, I'm pretty sure you'd be singing a different tune. Yet in this case, somehow the victim and her trauma doesn't matter, right? It's sickening. She's completely correct. Completely correct. Oh, what else we got? Anna says, homicides in LA haven't been this high in 15 years. Antithetical to the idea that I'm using anecdotal evidence, but okay. 100% correct. 100% Anna is right about all of this. This is what we need more of. I'm not going to come out and just rag on her. I'm not going to ignore past errors, especially when she lied about me. But I'm not going to come out here and insult her. It's just remarkable that people are on the right are insulting her. And I'm not saying every single person. This is a time where we can be like, hey, Anna, like, what should we do? How can we solve this problem? Legit, 100%. I'm down. You're totally right. How do we solve the problem of this guy, killing a cop or beating people? We don't want that. And who wants that? She makes a really great point. She has a video. Here we go. This person said, at this point, Anna Kasparian of the self-proclaimed progressive Young Turks is just doing the same kind of fear-mongering, pro-carceral propaganda you'd see in the fascist New York Post. It's ridiculous. Here we go. Revolutionary Blackout Network says, Anna Kasparian had a Karen-style meltdown while using right-wing talking points to defend the police state. But the Young Turks think they have a right to call other people fake left. What's fascinating about this is like Michael Malice wants to abolish the police. And he's like right-wing. The issue is freedom. And there are people who are staunchly anarchist or libertarian. And then there's liberals. And classical liberals, slightly center-right. Traditional liberals, slightly center-left. And I think Anna and I are similar in a certain point on the libertarian side of the spectrum. as much as, she'd probably call me weirdo right wing or whatever. She's left. I call her left. I know what left is. But I'm like, look, I think cops perform a function that is necessary. I don't like how the system operates, however. So I'm not a big fan of modern policing. And that's why I've been in the past like, whatever, just abolish them. Because when they go bad, then the function they're supposed to be performing ain't working. However, that being said, I'm more speaking out of modern contextual issues as opposed to the idealistic issues. I'm not an anarchist. I'm like center-left libertarian, still fairly liberal, as much as the liberals don't want to admit it. I don't know where the video is. Okay, here we go. Here's Anna Kasparian's great strategy on how the left can stop the radicalization of everyday Republican voters, change their material conditions. She's totally right. She goes on to say things like Ron DeSantis and Trump are bad, like I mentioned, and I think she's wrong about that. But I think there's the one big issue here. It's funny, Kyle right now is actually trending. The one big issue is that if we're going to solve these problems, we need to stop engaging with those who simply want to hate. And this is what she brings up. Let me play this clip for you because I think it's actually pretty good.
I'm like Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, like Rudy Giuliani, who knows? Who cares? Like they're all terrible, right?
Okay, I'm going to pause real quick and just say Rudy Giuliani, criticize, whatever. Donald Trump, criticize. Actually, yeah, you should criticize Trump. I think Trump's way better than Biden. I think he was worth voting for. But I really do respect criticizing everybody. That being said, I think Trump is one of the greatest presidents of our generation. Simply put, despite all of the problems he does have, his foreign policy was tremendous. And that is one of the most important things to me. One of the most, the biggest policy issue of consequence, or of the most consequence. Quite literally like blowing up people in other countries. You don't talk about domestic issues, American suffering. I hear you. But it's nothing compared to drone bombing of children like the Obama and Biden administration. Trump was winding everything down. He did increase drone strikes, but if that got us out of these Middle Eastern wars, I get it. Not perfect, but criticize him for sure. Ron DeSantis, however, I don't get. I don't understand that. Like Ron DeSantis, I think, okay, maybe the BDS thing that he's been called out for. Anything else? I don't know. What are you mad about Ron DeSantis for? Sure. Maybe Anna just doesn't understand. She doesn't follow me. I follow her. Maybe that's a gap in knowledge.
Right. The only thing that we can do, and when I say we, I don't literally mean the two of us. I mean the broadly speaking left, to combat what we're seeing with the radicalization of Republican voters in this country is change their material conditions.
Pause again. The radicalization of some. Yeah, I would agree with that. I want to make sure we distinguish, intent. Is she saying that all Republicans are radicalized or that there is a radicalization of Republican voters? I think there is. I think you see it with dark MAGA. I'm not saying it's radicalization like to fascism or to violence or anything like that. I don't know what she's trying to convey with this. Typically, when dealing with commentary in this space, people on the right are probably going to take it to the most extreme and say Republicans aren't being radicalized. You're wrong. Me, I'll say, sure, some are. I've seen the dark MAGA stuff. I've seen the people who call for revenge and everything like that. Even I have said Donald Trump should get revenge because it means he's going to fire all of these bureaucratic state, shills and things like that. Maybe we'll bring about some civil servant term limits. But I think it's an important thing to point out. What does she mean by that? Honestly, I don't know. You can give her the benefit of the doubt or not. And for a lot of reasons, I think a lot of people would not. That I can understand.
They are angry, and their anger is being exploited by the lunatics on the right. And so how do you stop that exploitation from happening? You got to stop the anger. How do you stop the anger? Make their lives better. I know it sounds counterintuitive because there's a lot of hate in this country, and some people in the Democratic Party just want to see them suffer as retaliation.
Yep, there it is. She's right. I don't agree with her positions, not all of them. I think she's wrong on the facts on a lot of issues. I think she did a segment with this guy, Nando Villa, who I know, where they just called me ugly. Okay, granted, I lost a lot of weight, so, well, all right. But it was a segment where we were talking about how conservatives tend to be more attractive, and there's like 7 studies saying that. And it wasn't me saying, haha, liberals are ugly. I don't do that. I said, I think it makes sense. If you're attractive and you go through life with people being nice to you and you succeed, well, part of that is due to you being attractive. People want to be around you, and that's privilege. So naturally, you'll be a little bit more independently minded. You're going to be like, if I could do it, anyone can. It's like, yeah, well, you're also good looking. And so people gave you the opportunity. Ugly people, short, stodgy, weird people or whatever have a harder time of it, and they tend to be more collectivist. It's not an issue of insulting anybody, certainly not for me, but Anna just crapped all over me. And I'm like, why? Well, it is what it is. For that, I can understand why people would not give her the benefit of the doubt, or when her and Cenk were wrong on January 6th. And that's the problem. I feel like, and I mean this genuinely, if you were to give Anna access to a correct information, she'd be red pilled 2 seconds. And you think I'm joking, and a lot of people probably don't want to acknowledge it, but she said she was wrong about Kyle Rittenhouse because she watched the video. I'm pretty sure it's been a while. Look what she's talking about criminal justice reform. When she actually gets exposed to the evidence, all of a sudden she's like, whoa, hey, wait a minute. That being said, that segment she did about me where she said that I was, ugly or whatever, or however they phrased it, they acknowledged I was right. That the articles I was referencing were legit scientific articles and published in mainstream newspapers. You see, when she goes on and says there's a lot of people in the Democratic Party just want to hate, yeah, Anna, bro, sometimes you're one of them that you just want to hate. Now, of course, we have our moments here on Timcast. Like I ragged on Brian Stelter. I ragged on him hard. And I will, because I think he's a bad person. But I rag on him for something specific. I don't twist or fail to watch. I don't care about Brian Stelter. What I care about is when he says things like don't watch other networks. I'll call him out for that. That's why I think he's a bad person. I think you should watch the Young Turks. I think you should follow Anna Kasparian. I do. This is what I'm concerned about. Yeah, we can all be a little emotional. We can all be insulting or condescending, all of that stuff. But as long as you're listening and you truly understand what the other person is saying is the most important part. And as long as you're really trying.
But we need to get back to a better place where we're not at each other's throats and we don't see, again, like one insane Republican candidate after the next.
So let's bring it all together. Here's the challenge, Anna, and I sincerely hope you hear this. Joe Biden is on video. I believe it was a meeting for the Council on Foreign Relations, where he says that he went to Ukraine and told the president unless they fired the prosecutor, he would withhold $1 billion in loan guarantees that Congress had approved. This is called a quid pro quo, at least how it's been described across the board. Joe Biden did not have the authority to deny this. Oh, they say, well, it was in line with U.S. foreign policy to get rid of this prosecutor. Fine. But the point is, Joe Biden, of his own volition, threatening this is not a legal play. The vice president doesn't have the authority to do that. Okay, this raises a bunch of alarm bells. Turns out Victor Shokin, who was the prosecutor, had about a dozen plus open investigations into a company called Burisma. Hunter Biden happened to have been on the board of Burisma. I should clarify. He had investigations into Mykola Zlochevsky, the founder of Burisma. Many people feel that's a conflict of interest at the very least. Of course, Trump supporters outright say it's proof of corruption. I say, look, conflict of interest at the very least. Does that warrant impeachment or investigation? Donald Trump on the phone with, I believe it was Zelensky, said, please look into this. And he was accused of trying to dig up dirt on his opponent, Joe Biden, who had not even announced he was running for president. And thus, he was impeached. Okay. I think what Joe Biden did was more so circumstantial evidence and probable cause of wrongdoing than what Trump did, especially considering Trump may have just been actually investigating this. Here's the issue. When I say something like that, my question is, why don't you guys know that? It's reported in the New York Times. It's reported in the Washington Post. It's reported by people like Matt Taibbi. I don't know why you don't know this. Maybe it's as simple as this. I follow you. I see what you're saying, and I make videos agreeing with you when you're right. But you don't follow me. You don't watch the news stories that come out on these issues, or you'll just come out and say, what you saw on CNN and repeat it. The Kyle Rittenhouse story is a really great example. The Jussie Smollett story is a really great example. Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Trayvon Martin, all of these stories are really great examples. So another example would be Ahmaud Arbery. I had a few lawyers on who tracked the case. I watched some of the case. And you learn a whole lot about what really went down with Ahmaud Arbery. I would be willing to bet a great sum of money that, Anna, you didn't know much of what the case is about. This is the guy that they claim was jogging when he was shot and killed by, I believe, Travis McMichael, the McMichaels. They say he was lynched. There's so much more to the story the left doesn't know. So I can understand why they're angry. If I believed what they believed, I'd be angry too. The story is, however, that Ahmaud Arbery was a felony burglary suspect, not a trespassing suspect. The police had given out his image, asking people if they've seen him. Now, these guys should not have chased him, but they were told by cops, this is the criminal suspect. They believed under the law they had a right to perform a citizen's arrest as per the statute on felonies for citizen's arrest. Long story short, there's a lot to break down in that case, but it was not so simple as to say a couple of racist dudes hunted the guy down. Furthermore, the third guy who's got life in prison now was just filming. These are important details. Make your argument. I'm not here to defend anybody. I'm here to point out details in the case that I think these people don't know about. And that's the big challenge of the left. Why would Elon Musk fly in a private plane? Well, if you're concerned about climate change, I get you're mad about it. But there's actually simple reasons why he would. He doesn't have the time to drive 5 hours in traffic. He doesn't have the security to lock down public transport to bring him there, which would only be, I think it's like 45 minutes by train. No big deal. These are the challenges we face. You can criticize them. That's fine. But there's reasons behind them. I'll leave it there, man. Crime is getting crazy. And I really do mean it. I'm glad that Anna and Cenk and the Young Turks are pointing out the insanity that is this violent crime and that we got to do something about it because this is how we solve problems. And I think it's really important, too, to shout out AOC when she said there were cops on January 6th who opened the door, who let people in. I said it on Twitter. AOC red-pilled me on 1-6 being an inside job. That's her call. You know, I honestly wasn't thinking about it too much until she came out and said it. I said, okay, you're right. Okay, AOC. I think it's important that when you see these points being made by people on the left, you embrace them as fast as possible. And that's always been my philosophy. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.